I think you are recording now.
Now I've got a message that says unable to record to the cloud, go to meeting. There was a problem starting your recording, saving the recording to your computer. Okay,
it says it's already recording.
Pardon?
It does say it's recording.
Okay.
Mine doesn't. Mine doesn't say it's recording.
Mine does.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it says recording on the. It does say in the upper left corner, Sherry. I've got it too. It says it does.
What? That it's recording?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It looks like it is.
Okay, good. Okay, and
All right.
caller number 1. Would you like to identify yourself?
Yes, hi, it's Jonah Latte calling. I couldn't get into the link, so I thought I would call in.
Okay.
Well, that's very resourceful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said that's very resourceful. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I should be able to use the link, but it keeps saying web page not found. I'm on my Wi-Fi at home.
Are you on a desktop?
I'm on my smartphone.
That's why. It doesn't always work with the smartphone. But we can hear you, so that's fine. Joan, did you get sworn in?
I only went to the office after the meeting and told the secretary, and she emailed Abby. That's as far as I got.
Okay. Well, you can participate in the meeting, but when it comes to voting, you would not be allowed to vote because you're not sworn in.
Oh, okay.
You get sworn in at the town
I will.
office.
Okay, I will do so.
It takes all of 2 minutes.
It doesn't. Yeah, it only takes a few minutes to get sworn in.
Okay, I'll do that on my next day off.
Okay. Well, tomorrow's Thursday, and town hall is open till 7 o'clock.
Oh, I could do it tomorrow. Will the person to swear me in be there at that hour?
The town clerk's office should be there. You could call ahead, but the town hall offices are open till 7.
Thanks for telling me.
You're welcome. And Nick, this is Joan. As you gathered, she is your new member.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Joan. We've been operating with down a couple members for a while now, so really
I just like your mission. Your mission is wonderful, and it's very important to me because I live in Clinton, and also to the environment. I just see some things that could be changed. I see like a lot of blight and things like that. And I also see a lot of properties that are possibilities for open space.
There you go. All right.
Yep.
Well, you're going to love this meeting then because we cover all that stuff. So,
yeah, I saw your agenda. I peeked at the agenda. They emailed it to me last night. Yesterday. So I saw the agenda, and I think it's great what you're doing.
Cool.
Before we get started, I got just one thing. Can anybody see me on the screen?
No.
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 But
I can't because I'm dialing.
That's okay. I can't see me either, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Brian Weir.
All I care about is that you do that you can hear me and I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, and I can hear you perfect.
Let's call to order. And we have a quorum, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry, you've recorded who's here?
Yes, but we probably should call the attendance anyway.
Okay. So,
Catherine
with us
Zemechnik.
today. What's that?
Catherine Zemechnik.
Here.
Yeah.
Nick Webb.
Here.
Bertram Schmitz.
There.
Lawrence Willett.
Here.
Mark Giacona.
Mark's not here?
No. Mark sent me sent Nick an email that he has been busy on a big project at his job. So he did not indicate he was not coming, but anyway. Joan, is it Ulati?
Yes.
Okay. And Mary Jo Phelps.
Here.
Okay.
Sherry Hines, is she here?
This week I am. And
All right.
Tobias
Awesome.
hasn't made any meetings, so I think he's not coming anymore.
Oh,
Tobias, our student representative.
yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah,
We haven't
in
seen
fact, he hasn't made one meeting this year. I think he's probably
Yeah.
busy. I know. I saw him one day at Big Y. He was working there. So between that and school, he probably is a little bit too busy. And I know he's involved in band or something too, and he gets involved with the school plays. And it's vacation week for them, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff. Anyway, so we need to start by reviewing and approving 3 months worth of meetings. Meeting minutes, sorry.
Okay,
So-
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 1st, 2023 minutes.
All
That
right,
would be January 11th.
January 11th.
January 11th.
January 11th, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Hi.
That passes unanimously.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the February 8th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Were you there, Larry? Was that the
Um,
one where we had an executive session or an administrative session?
There was one that I didn't make out of the 3.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's see.
I made that one. I did not make the March 8th. So,
Whoop, I'm looking at the right one here, wrong one here.
And
Okay,
we're talking about February.
yeah, February I was there.
February. February, only Mark was absent. So Larry moved February 8th.
Awesome.
So Larry has motioned to accept the minutes and Bert has seconded that motion. So
Correct.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abby, just keeping you awake. Okay, and then somebody, I can't do anything on March, so somebody else has to do that.
That was an administrative session. There was no quorum, so you don't do action on those. It's just noted there
Okay.
for my purposes, so I remember.
All right, good.
Duly noted.
So in terms of my comments, just real quickly, I think we've got a real opportunity over the next couple months to do a lot of good with Japanese knotweed. Abby hopefully will spend a little time on residential food composting because we've gotten some good news on that. Abby can fill us in on that. In addition, I don't see anywhere on here about the pocket park, but we're sort of beginning to make progress in terms of what we might do with the pocket park. And it's going to be a very scaled down, there'll just be a pollinator garden very close to the rail. And the idea is that the town of Clinton is going to do something bigger in terms of handling the rainwater. So on the good side, we're going to get it done right. We were going to do it kind of, I don't want to use the term half-assed because that's not accurate. We actually had a plan from University of Connecticut. We had 2 master gardeners. We had some serious juice behind it. But I think it's right that we need to, the rainwater is pretty extensive when it comes down into those 2 sluiceways. And so we need to do something that's serious. and I'm glad we're going to do that. So I think Abby's going to go out for grant funding on that. And so there's a lot of things in motion. In the meantime, between when the grant comes through and we plan and we deliver it, and in conjunction with the beautification committee, we're going to plant some pollinators and we're going to get it spruced up along the Indian River so it looks good. Catherine?
I'll put the caveat out there that I have suggested, have supported, that this is the direction that I think is really important. I don't have authorization yet to apply for a grant. We still need to get buy-in from the town manager's office, from DPW, really make sure that we have everybody who would be involved supporting that idea. So it's out there. But there's not traction for it yet. So that's, a place perhaps that this group has some ability is to start to sort of, in that narrative, say, look, we have an opportunity here to start to craft a project that really addresses stormwater quality as it enters the Indian River at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every time it rains, it just bothers me. So I would like to get that thing solved somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Abby, in connection with increasing the stormwater quality that goes into the river there, what is the type of project you would be recommending that we do there? Are there types of projects that can be done in a narrow area like that to filter out the debris, etc.?
One of the things that I talked to Nick about earlier, and it was a recommendation that I've made to Carl, and I don't think it's left his desk yet, because it's very, very recent, and obviously this is a school vacation week, so there's less folks around. But I think divorcing the pollinator beautification element from the stormwater element in order to get some of the project done is your best bet to get something in during this growing season, and to come up with something at a scale that shows folks that work is happening, that provides some benefit. But I think there's multiple things at play in terms of getting that stormwater treated. And when you walk up that hill and you look at the various ownership interests and which potential ways that we can break up that water, there's like 3 catch basins. There's a few different spots that we could potentially use. I don't have a good sense of what those soils look like underneath. We may have some tree filter opportunity. There may be ways to sort of break up and treat before things reach that final point of entry into the river. So I think some of that is important. Good housekeeping in the parking lot in terms of sweeping, trash management, where those dumpsters go, are they enclosed, that kind of stuff, putting some berming around them and that kind of thing is important. So I think slowing, infiltrating if possible, and at a minimum, at least trying to filter out and determine whether there's a mechanical solution in the form of, sort of vortex kind of stuff or tree filter pieces or those types of things are important. Some of those options are likely to be on other properties. And so one of the things that is going to be challenging to treat the entire parking lot is getting buy-in from folks who may or may not have had historical investment in this conversation before. So, but I do think that, the space that you have on that eroding bank, that will continue to erode, that is probably not, you don't want all the water coming down and try to treat it there if you can break it uphill. And so there's just a lot, and I'm sure you're all well versed in sort of making this kind of thing happen. I think that we need to talk about getting some money put together for initial engineering review and discussions with property owners. And if then we have a shovel-ready kind of a project, then I think we can start to say, okay, now let's talk through the grant application process to move this thing forward to construction dollars. So that's really the direction. And I think there's certainly pockets of money out there, and it is really a matter of, do we have the municipal buy-in, and do we have the buy-in of the property owners who would be participating? And so that's kind of the next step, is to explore those pieces.
Would that
so for
include
now,
the railroad?
I think it would need to. We could probably do it. I have to look at the exact property boundary. I would imagine we could do most of this without needing to encroach onto their property if the edge of the gravel berm is where the property line is. I have not looked at survey yet for the property, so I'll talk to Todd about that and kind of figure out what we have on file already. And it's just a matter of how much data do we need to gather in order to be able to design.
Yep, and I would just say as a note, there may be issues with ownership of that parking lot. When we did the downtown revitalization project, at least 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, one of the issues was being able to use public parking for downtown events. And when we tried to see what could be done for that parking lot in that area, there were a lot of issues about title ownership that were not easily resolvable. So that may or may not come into play when we get to the point where we approach and get permission from property owners.
But I thought it was,
Absolutely.
I thought it was town property up to like the Comcast. That
No.
whole area.
But the Conservation Commission doesn't have to be concerned about that, right? That's more the town side of it that you were talking about, right, Abby?
Right, and I think the heart for the Conservation Commission is sort of the support, the backing, the sort of say, listen, we're endorsing this project, and here's something that we think that you should be doing. If there's sort of things like letters of support for grants that we may do, if there's votes for initial funding that come up, signing on, or if folks involved that maybe through other channels that may need some convincing or some selling of the idea over time, depending on who people know. That kind of stuff, I think, is where this group can be really effective. Definitely when we get into that part of it, helping to say, okay, listen, we're not going to put a black gum in the tree filter because we're going to have a bunch of junk all over the place. We should pick something native. We should pick something that sort of adds some value. So that kind of stuff. I think but I do think having your knowledge that something is hopefully going to happen. I can't promise a timeline. I can't promise how long it's going to take to get all the pieces together to make this a viable project, which is why in that interim, I think you have an opportunity to look at a narrowed project for plantings that, if it's something that if DPW mows the whole area down in the winter, it's going to grow back the next year. That you clearly mark off, sort of what it is that you're sort of maybe paring down a little bit the species that you're choosing, so that your dollar investment isn't enormous in the event that this stormwater thing goes forward and we decide to say, look, we're going to have a planting plan for the overall parking lot area, or we're going to redo that the guardrail into something wood with planters and other stuff. We don't necessarily want to take a big investment and rip it out. So sort of thinking about this as a temporary opportunity to show folks that things are happening, that there's some benefit, and that it can withstand kind of taking a beating if necessary, because it might.
All right.
It already did. Yeah.
Yeah. No
Abby,
question.
Abby, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Hi, Abby.
Yep.
May I ask you, is there any possibility that any sewage is getting into there, by the Indian River where you're talking about? Because a couple of times I've walked by there, and I think there's a problem also with some sewage runoff there.
Well,
And that would be a separate issue, right? That would be a separate thing to deal with first, right?
It would be a separate thing. So the stormwater, the surface water treatment and relative location of subsurface wastewater treatment obviously has to be kind of designed and done in a way that won't interfere. I'm not aware of any failures in that area of any existing systems. I know the Indian River's TMDL is listed for, I believe it's bacterial loading, E. coli specifically. So I think there's that. So I think that there's there's certainly nutrient and pollutant loading in the river. Whether what percentage of that might be from this particular area, I wouldn't be able to tell you. There's some, there's definitely some algae spots and stuff that look like they may be, have some additional nutrients coming to them, and whether that's from surface runoff or from some of the loads of stuff that's in the water, in the water body anyway, I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't have any information that would tell me that something is failing out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we know it's not a good situation, Joan, and you asked a really good question, because there is underneath the pavement is a number of septic tanks.
Mhm.
So you're actually probably not incorrect in that there's some leakage and some things going on. All the more reason to get this thing solved the right way.
Yeah.
So
Because I
let's-
remember about 10 years ago, when I first came here, well, I was here longer than that, but there was an engineering project up on Long Hill Road that studied all that stuff already. You might already have some data about it way back. Because I remember the sconce and something or other, sounds like that. I can't remember now, something field, when they were looking to fix the sewage problem from Long Hill Road and
Leaching
runoff.
fields?
What was that?
Was it leaching fields, you mean?
Not just the leaching fields, but a whole town study, engineering study of the septic problems starting up on Long Hill Road.
Right.
And
That one-
I think they already have data about this.
That you're
From
talking
that.
about, that's the purview of the Water Pollution Commission or Water Pollution Authority. And there was a study done by, was it CDM Smith, I think, or CME, one of the two. That was a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just wondering if maybe they can, if we can get some data from that, from any study done in this area already to be able to add to, you know, any, what am I trying to say? Any asking for grant money to fix, you know, pollution into Long Island Sound from there.
Let's take a look.
I'm not aware that if there was a study up in the hill area, I don't think it would have extended to or come anywhere down near where we're talking about, where the Indian River comes out from under Route 1.
Okay. That makes sense. I was just thinking if it starts up at Long Hill Road, it ends up, you know, downstream. So,
Oh, yeah, no question. Look, there's a lot of issues with Indian River.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's keep moving because we've got a lot of stuff to cover.
all right.
So administrative review, we've got workshops, the Pollinator Pathway Project. So it is now time to begin our outreach on Pollinator Pathway Project. We've now done 3 workshops. And the people from the beautification committee are going up to Killingworth to do a presentation up there.
Mhm.
I would recommend that we try and do one more Pollinator Pathway Project presentation at the library in the next couple of months. I would work with Sarah Borges to get the big room in the library, and we could do, one more educational overview of pollinators and the pollinator pathway. I'd just like backing from the committee, and I can put it into effect.
Yep.
So can somebody make a motion to have me put a pollinator pathway presentation in place with the library in the next couple months?
Sure, I'll make that motion. Or Catherine, do you want to make it?
I'll make it. Yeah, I move that Nick, okay, whatever it was, puts together another pollinator pathway presentation at the library.
I'll second that.
Okay, great. And so what that means,
You need to take a
just so
vote.
everybody, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so what that means is in the next couple months, I will reserve the room. I'll get the 2 master gardeners that have been working with us on this project, and we'll put together a presentation again. And we will advertise it to the town and get it out there, and we'll make sure that there's good attendance. I
Nick,
think what's that?
I was going to say, what's the approximate cost to our budget for that? Just the advertising? or-
It's somewhere between $150 and $200 to make all the copies. What they do, which is marvelous, is they bring pollinator pathway seeds. So they bring pollinator plant seeds. So people can sort of pick those up as part of the thing. But we do have
For
handouts.
free? Or
Yeah.
do they? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
nice.
As a matter of fact, I planted some Joe Pye weed out. I'm very excited to see what happens this spring from last year. So
You planted
But yeah.
some?
I did.
I don't know if I had mine in the refrigerator long enough. I've started to germinate the seeds. Nothing's coming up yet. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying it.
Good, good. Yeah, no, I there's something happening.
Is Sherry Smith going to be helping with the presentation?
Yes, she's our rock star. Her and
Yeah,
Sue Tell.
right. I was
I'm
just
just
talking to her
asking you.
today because I'm putting a pollinator garden around the mailboxes, and she's going to be giving me some advice on that. I got to kind of have her check it out, the sunlight, and she
Yeah.
advised me I didn't think about bee pollinating plants around the mailbox. It's not a good idea anyway. So yeah, she's going to be helping me plan
Good.
that out.
Good.
So we've got the motion made and seconded. Nick, you got to call the vote.
Oh, okay. No, I think we voted. We did
Yes,
vote.
you did.
Did we?
Oh,
Okay.
I thought so, but do we have to do something about actual money spent? Does that need to be a separate motion or?
Okay, yeah, I mean, let's do that because, we do spend money on this and in times past, we haven't been able to reclaim it. So,
Sherry,
I'd like-
do you have the balances of what what the commission has available to spend? I don't have that in front of me right now.
I believe I do. Hold on.
Abby, I think we're flush.
I just haven't looked in a while, so.
Yeah, we got this.
We're not a big spender.
Yeah, we're very, so, I mean,
Okay.
I would put a limit of $200 on this and
Okay.
we'll come in under.
You have, as of March 8th, you have $1,525
Good.
for the rest of the year.
okay, so I would like to make a motion that we authorize Nick upwards to $200 to put together that pollinator pathway presentation at the library.
Is that an amount not to exceed 200?
Not to
Right.
exceed, yeah, up to.
I'll second.
Okay, motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
All opposed? Okay, so let's move on from pollinator pathway. Let's go to the Dark Skies project. I don't think there's very much to report here. This is Mark's big thing, so, we'll have to wait till next month when he gets in.
Yep.
So let's move
Sounds
to
good.
item number 3, which is residential food composting. So Abby, share the good news.
All right. So I had a great visit from Todd this morning, and the permit is here. It has finally been delivered, and he is getting his folks together. Yep, it's exciting. So 9 months later, from the time of application, but it's here, and he's working right now on the back of house operational pieces. So he's got to buy a scale and install it. There's some permit elements that he has to do, get some signage to put up at the transfer station, come up with the path that folks are going to use to actually drop the food scraps and that kind of stuff. He's hoping within the next few weeks to have some more information to share on that about what the status is and how long it's going to take him to set that up and when public outreach can begin. And he and I talked about the potential role of this group in helping with that public outreach, spreading the word once he's ready to start receiving material. So So yeah, so things are moving. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Abby, do you know the answer to this question? Does Schweitzer use the town of Clinton transfer station?
It's a good question. I don't have an answer, but I'll get you one.
Okay, because,
They do come up and down Happy Acres Road every day collecting garbage, so it's gotta go someplace.
well, so that's where their headquarters is, right on Nod Road, so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But the reason I'm saying that is if we want to get aggressive
Mhm.
with food composting, and I think I do, I think it would be great to bring Schweitzer into the conversation.
Mhm.
You know, maybe they can help with collecting, maybe they can help in terms of delivery. We can figure that out.
But not everybody has Schweitzer. It's not like they're a municipal carrier.
no,
Darn close to a monopoly.
I agree, but I mean, that might be seen as a conflict of interest in terms of stipulating who gets, you know,
Yeah, we
informed.
would have
Get that. No, I think what we would do is try and work with them to develop a program
Mhm.
that would allow them to collect that third bucket of food scraps.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think part of what would be useful is to find out what the volume of people actually bringing food scraps is once things open, and sort of
Yeah.
say, look, here's the capacity in the permit. We're trying to make up this difference, and whether it's them, the Purple Folks, Gorilla, whoever it is, sort of say, look, we're trying to get to this level. How do you see each organization, company, whatever, supporting that effort, and see if we can,
Right. And then the other thing that we talked about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, when we had a couple presentations on this, is one of the things Stanford did, which was highly, highly successful, is they sold $20 packets, which involved a small waste bucket, involved another bucket that they could have at the sink to handle the, quick scrap collection. They would take that and then they would dump it into the compost bucket. And they would also have in that bucket that have, a certain color bags that were biodegradable and part of that. And so for $20, you got sort of all those pieces. And it was like compost in a bin. You were ready to go. And that would be something I think we should look at once we get that permit.
A starter kit for everyone.
Yeah, exactly, Catherine. That's right. You've got the marketing touch.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, to some extent, my biggest fear is that we put this composting plan in place and nobody shows up. So we got to make sure that we really drive this in all of our neighborhoods, that people are aware that this is going on. Frankly, I think if I can get the Pollinator Pathway Project presentation at the library, I think we should do a second one, which is all about food composting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, cool. So I don't think there's much for us to talk about yet. But if Schweitzer does take their trash to the town of Clinton transfer station, I think it's well worth a conversation with Schweitzer.
Mhm.
Because they could help us.
Yeah, I'm sending Todd an email right now.
All right, cool. Japanese knotweed. Catherine, it's time. It is time. So last year, on 2 separate occasions, we did sort of a blitz to all of our social media sites, including the Town of Clinton website. I did Nextdoor. You did All Things Clinton. I'm trying to remember all the other places, but I think we're ready to go out with that again. I'm going to dust off the Japanese knotweed flyer that we created. And then maybe we can all sort of get it out there to our respective social media sites.
Very good.
I don't think we need a vote on this. It's sort of just a catch as catch can. What I would like a vote on is I'd like a $30 budget to create posters of this material so that I can post it at town hall, library, shopping, like the ShopRite and the Stop and Shop and the Big Y. Just so people, again, just an increase awareness thing.
So you just mean like homemade posters?
So the posters I've put together,
Oh,
well,
okay.
it's one pagers. This is from last year we did it. I'll have to dust it off and make sure it still looks good.
Shouldn't we put
I'm
the
not a
post?
graphic artist. If there's a graphic artist among us, I'd love to get a quick consult on it, but otherwise I think we just post them.
I think that we should, like, where are some areas where there are the Japanese knotweed, like down behind town hall and stuff? And you
Yeah.
could put a poster there and say, see this stuff, and then they can see it. And if you see this anywhere, whatever, places like that, where they can actually see the poster and see, like,
Yeah.
the knotweed.
Yeah, and Abby had a great idea, which is why don't we have a knotweed eradication hour where we hire somebody who is like skilled in actually eradicating knotweed.
Mm-hmm.
The place, either town hall or the Eversource power lines right off Grove are the two that strike me as right for this. And we actually make a little event in terms of eradicating the knotweed.
Like a demo type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, somebody could live stream it. Somebody could, there could be a recording of it that's, is available on websites later, and just sort of have a, hey, if you're seeing this in your yard, folks, here's what to do.
Right. That's good.
I like that a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
So
And I think it's great that you're actually doing something about this, because upstate Connecticut near Canton, there's so much knotweed, it's out of control already.
Mhm.
And I think I might have read it on your pamphlet or somebody from town hall that the roots go really, really deep. Is that right?
yeah, they go deep and they're incredibly strong. They can actually burrow through concrete. And so they can go right through the foundation of your house if you don't treat it.
High maintenance.
So- Wow. So,
Yeah.
and I know
it's-
they're also using it to extract resveratrol too in some places, because of the red veins in it has the resveratrol in high concentration, and they're actually selling it.
You're kidding me.
What?
No, not kidding. They extract. I found this out. They're actually harvesting it in certain areas. I don't know where. I don't know about Connecticut, but you see the red vein in it, right?
Right.
That's a very super antioxidant in it, and that they found out that they can use this and sell it as resveratrol supplements.
Really?
Yeah, like that's in red wine, the same chemical,
Yeah.
resveratrol. And it has the highest concentration of any plant. But the problem is this invasive plant. It scared me when I saw that this roots can go miles down eventually, or something, or a mile down.
Right.
It's scary.
It
So
is.
I think what you're doing is great, and I will help out with this if there's anything I could do.
Okay. So what I'll do, coming out of this meeting, I will circulate the flyer that I put together last year. I did a spring flyer as well as a fall flyer with different pictures, because the fall, it looks very different than it looks in the spring. And so why don't we do this? I'll send this out either tonight or tomorrow. If I can get comments back on it, on any changes, adjustments, etc., by the end of this week. So by close of business Friday. And then what I'll do is I'll take that and I will create a poster of it. you know, it's not going to be a ton of money. It's going to be like $30. I'll make 10 or
Yep.
20 of these posters that we can put up, or I'll put them up in the library and town hall, etc. But also I will circulate that I'll have Mary Shatino post it on the town website. I'll talk to the library, see if they can post it on their website. And then I'll post it on Nextdoor. Catherine will post it on All Things Clinton. And if anybody else has any other sort of like place for it, great.
Yeah.
The more knowledge about this, the better. I mean, part of this is people aren't aware of what's going on with this thing.
Right.
So bringing the awareness in is really, really super important.
Definitely.
Yeah. Nick, I
Okay.
can also post it on the Clinton Land Trust website,
Yeah.
which we have up and going. They'll definitely be interested in doing it. Just one question, the 2 areas where you're suggesting that we do it, those are properties owned by the city, by the town?
No, so we haven't, so that's sort of like another thing we can do with knotweed. It's not part of this initial.
Oh, okay.
Just to get the awareness out.
Okay.
The 2 properties, one is town property. It's right behind town hall. They've got a real
Okay.
problem with it. And they're not doing it. The DPW is not doing a good job. I mean, I'm going to call it out there. They don't know what they're dealing with, and they're making huge mistakes. So it would be good to get somebody with real knowledge,
Yeah. Right there.
do that. That was Abby's idea today. I've got to explore if we can find somebody that's a real expert on this. And then we'll go and sort of, maybe that's something I can bring up at the next meeting.
Okay.
What about Clinton Nurseries? Because they spray like their plants. They have herbicides.
So, herbicides, so in the brochure that you'll see, Joan,
Yeah.
there actually talks about 2 moderately toxic herbicides that we can use on knotweed. The issue with that, though, is if it's near water, and knotweed often goes very near water, is we really shouldn't be putting toxins into the water stream. So
Right.
it's kind of, I don't want to be really out there pushing on the toxins.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
So we do bring it up, and we basically say, look, if you're near a river, you should talk to inland waterways before you do this, but here are 2 that have worked. But the preferred method is, this other way.
So what? I'm sorry. What's the other way?
So the Bronx Botanical Garden has basically come out and said the only way to deal with this is to cut it at its very, exactly close to the earth. Stay on it because it'll grow back, but keep cutting it. And make sure every time you do that cutting, you double bag the resulting weeds that you're cutting off the top, and you take your cutting instrument and you bathe it in alcohol.
So there's no seeds or spores or whatever it may.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the
Okay.
preferred way right now, coming from the Bronx Botanical Garden. And by the way, they've fought a losing battle. I don't know why we're listening to them, other than they're experts.
Wow. I don't know how they would do that. I don't know how you would manage that, though, when you're doing it in such a large area in the water, near the water.
But
I
you gotta
can't-
take it very seriously. The worst thing we could do is take knotweed weeds to the dump,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
put it
It'll
into
spread.
the compost
Yeah.
piles.
Do we burn them?
No, you're not supposed to burn them. No, you're supposed to double bag them and, be very, very careful.
But what do you do? What do you do after you've cut them down to the ground level?
Well,
What do you do with the thing that you've removed?
yeah, ultimately, if they can't get sunlight, photosynthesis going in their leaves, they will ultimately die. It's going to take, but they're going to fight it. So they're going to grow up multiple times. You got to cut it multiple times. You got to stay on it. And then ultimately the whole knotweed plant dies.
Okay, but how do you dispose of what you've cut off? That's what I'm asking.
Put it into you double bag the black plastic lawn bags.
Okay.
In long bags and throw them away. Make
Yeah,
sure you don't
that's
keep your
fine.
holes.
Yeah.
Boy, that stuff is relentless. I wonder if you cut them way down to the ground. I know it's not, it's vinegar and things like that are just as bad, but you could, if you had a small patch of it, if you cut it down flush and you spray it with vinegar, won't that kill them, go down into the roots and finally just kill them?
I'm not the expert, but I'm assuming that the Bronx Botanical Gardens tried everything.
Yeah. Interesting. We need to, we need some expert advice.
Yeah.
And definitely.
Okay. So I will circulate that literally at the end of today or tomorrow morning at the latest.
So did you want that motion for up to $35 or $50 to?
Yeah, for making posters, that would be good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to authorize Nick Webb to spend upwards to $50. Not, you don't have to go up that high, but upwards to $50 for posters with regard to the knotweed education distribution posters. Yeah.
I'll second that.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Good. I think it's time to get that out there. It's literally, this is the ultimately right time to get the information out there. So it's good.
It's really good.
Land acquisition procedures. So Catherine and I put together or altered the PowerPoint, but it appears that Abby has sort of taken it a step further, putting it into a document.
Oh.
That was, I think Sherry circulated it at the most recent, documents for this meeting. But my guess is, did anybody have a chance to read that document?
No, I don't know if I got it. Sherry, when was that sent out? I don't know if
The
I had
like
that.
3-page thing
Yes.
with the action items, pretty much like work items.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
I tried to put together for folks was just a brief cover memo, and then based on the PowerPoint that you had already done, the sort of initial, the previous version, tried to pull out some of those things, and then tried to weave that into the existing municipal process for how to kind of get plans adopted, get buy-in, get funding. I ran it by Carl. He was sort of in support of this overall process. So there is some direction that this is something that would be supported going forward. But I wanted to, again, it's sort of meant to be a preliminary outline for folks to start to think through this stuff in support of the work you've already done, and start to talk about how our office can support this effort going forward.
Well, you obviously did a fair amount of work, so thank you for that.
So
It
why don't we
was
do the following, because we haven't had a time to review it. Why don't we table this till next meeting,
Okay.
but come to
Can
the
I
next.
just ask one question about
Of
it?
course. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, under 3A, it says review balance in town fund, and then every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know how to review that. Would that be like one person?
What we could do, so we can do that through our office, and we can essentially provide a report quarterly to the commission to say, here is the existing balance in the open space fund. You know,
Okay,
it
good.
doesn't change often, but if there are
Right.
subdivisions that come through, if there's other mechanisms that get adopted, or grant money that comes through, then we have a place to put it.
Yeah.
Right.
Abby, could you send me another copy of that? Because I'm looking through my email. For some reason, I don't seem to have it or be able
Okay.
to locate it.
It went out
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah,
This
you know
Friday?
what, Lawrence? I have to send out the knotweed thing. I'll send this as well.
Okay, that'd be great.
And I
Thank you.
sent
I
it right now. So if it's cut, but for some reason mine was seemed to be getting blocked from folks when I was trying to send it, and Sherry's email got through. So we'll see how. Yeah,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I got Sherry's. I did not get yours, Abby. I checked and for
that's
some
so
reason-
weird. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think what we have to do is spend a little time with it and come ready for debate. What I think needs to happen, so part of this is that model in terms of evaluating land that we came up with is very valuable. However, we need to take a look at what Abby's put together in terms of that procedure, and let's see where we need to modify it. You know, Abby, one of the things you may not know is that Larry and Catherine are veterans of this land acquisition process, having lived through it a couple times. So it'd be great to get their feedback on the document you put together. Let's really make it tight. And then
Okay.
one of us is going to have to go present this to the town committee.
Abby, when you put together
What's
the
that, Lawrence?
list, I was just going to mentioning, Abby, when you put together the list of all the things to look for, the evaluation criteria for a property,
Yes.
what was it? Did it parallel the list that's in the grant application? Because the grant applications for the state indicate all the things that they're looking for to give it a high priority to certain properties to get grant money.
So I
Okay.
have not gone that far, but one of the things that
Okay.
so I think there's probably very similar things in here, but I didn't look at it in terms of any particular grant program. What I will say is that the fundamental starting point for this, as folks are starting to evaluate when you have time for it, was the need to bolster and create a really clear open space acquisition plan so that, because I feel like all of the state agencies or federal agencies are all looking back to say, is this property on your radar already? Does it meet your goals and objectives for open space acquisition and management? And so I think that part is really, really critical. So if there's early effort to be focused, I think you have an individual property that you're looking at, but beyond that one property, I think it's really important to get this plan going. It's a really good time to do it because it precedes the Planning and Zoning Commission's efforts going, not this coming year, but the year after to update the Plan of Conservation and Development. So having this ready to go to say, here are our priorities that, oh, by the way, we've gotten buy-in from Planning and Zoning Commission and from the Town Council. We're sort of
Right.
adopting your plan into everybody else's work. And so trying to really wrap around the buy-in, I think, is important. And I think having a strong planning document to do it is good.
Okay, so I will ship that around, although I guess it's already been shipped around. But it'll go in, so there will be multiple files going out tonight. And then next month, let's really come in and sort of nail it down and sort of put this to bed, and then we can figure out who should go in front of the town committee.
Sounds great.
All right.
Exciting.
Exciting. Yes. It's good to finally get this thing done.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things.
One thing that was intimidating is that map, all the different colors and,
Yeah.
parcels. And so that's one thing I have to spend quite a bit of time looking at.
Yeah, that's the map as it is today. And one of the things that I'm hoping is, as long as the budget passes, we'll have some additional money in the budget for GIS and mapping services. So we may be able to recreate this in a way that is maybe a little bit easier to digest or that kind of thing too. So we can talk about that after the start of the next fiscal year, assuming things
Definitely
pass.
have to we have to update the map anyway, the open space map, things like that. We have to update them so we can simplify it or, recode it anyway at that point. But yeah, there's a few things on there that need to be updated anyhow.
Mhm.
I think, I don't know, look, that was a few years ago now. It was a while ago, actually. Some of the proposed, like the Weiss Love Day still says proposed, but that's been done.
Like
So,
two
yeah.
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Well, when I got
Sherry,
here,
Sherry was a big help, huge help.
Oh, yeah.
when I got here,
Absolutely.
when I joined the commission, it had been done, but it hadn't been loaded up to the town GIS.
Right. And we did that last year, remember, when we contacted. So that
Yeah.
finally went on. But we still have to update. We have to update things.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to keep, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask you where I can look at this map that you're talking about for the open space?
It's
Oh,
in the
it's-
memo that was emailed to you, so you should have it there.
It's also
Oh,
in the GIS.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the town, yeah, so it's in the email, but it's also, if you go to the town of Clinton GIS, it's all there. It definitely
Thank
worth
you.
some time playing around with that. That is an impressive piece. I find the town.
Nick, you're breaking up.
Oh, really? You know what? I'm going to turn my camera off. It'll help me get better bandwidth. How is that? Is that better?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Sorry, I guess I'm going to have to go without you guys seeing my face. Anything to do with bylaws? I thought we covered that off.
We did that.
2 months ago.
What say
You-
you, Sherry? Are
Yeah,
we?
the last thing we talked about with the bylaws was the pronouns, and you said you were going to change that, and I think that was it.
Right, I did, but it's on Abby's list of things to do just to.
Yeah, it's got to get to town council for final approval,
Right.
right? That's the next step.
Okay. So we're going to leave that in your hands, Abby.
Hmm.
And then we're going to move to old new business. We already just heard about our operating budget, and we are flush. Doesn't mean we spend money willy-nilly. But it's worth, one of the things I'll do is I'm going to drag up our budget that we submitted last year. And let's take a look at what's there and what we were intending to spend it on and see where we're sort of falling short. Because we have money to spend, we should, if we've got priorities that we want to get done, we should do that. In terms of the proposed budget, I don't know, Abby, if you can color in anything that's going on. I've heard there's been some cuts here and there.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any cuts to conservation or like department operating budgets. There's been I say there's some stuff with public works. I'll have to go back and see what the actual numbers were, because some of it had to do with benefits balancing and some of that kind of stuff. So I know that Carl had put something back after the April 5th meeting, and so I'll touch base with him and see what the current numbers are. But I'm not aware of anything from this group that's been cut.
Okay, cool. That's great. So then we go right on to member educational opportunities. And I saw the tree memo that came out today, Sherry, and there were some other educational opportunities. I am now fully loaded. I don't have time in the middle of the day to go do these classes that are coming in at the middle of the day, but
I can do webinars, things like that, but I just can't go to a lot of these things.
Yeah, well, I can go over what came in.
okay.
Rockfall Foundation is having the 2023 Rockfall Foundation Symposium on Connecticut trees, and that's Friday, May 12th from 8 to 1, and that there is a charge for it, and that's an in-person. Registration is $45, and if you want to have lunch, it's an additional $15. Let's see. There is Abby sent something that I forwarded to you on Sustainability Forum on Invasive Management. Let's see. And that's a Zoom meeting from 12 to 1:30 on April 27th. That was for invasive species management.
Oh,
That would be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, we sent this, I forwarded it to you
Yep.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw it, but I was on vacation.
Aha.
Is anything like that? A few years back, the invasive species management, somebody was supposed to present something to Public Works. And I went to Public Works for the meeting that night to sit in on it, but the person never arrived. And I'm wondering, since they're the ones that do the invasive species management, will there be somebody perhaps that can try to do that again, that could go and speak to Public Works and find out what they can work on together with that?
Do we know, was it a professional person who was hired to do that work, or was it somebody in the community that had a general knowledge? Do we know what the?
It wasn't somebody in the community. Oh gosh, I have to look back now. It was a while. It was about 3 years ago. All I know is I was informed that this person was going to be coming and doing a presentation on invasive species management at the Public Works meeting. And they did, and it was, as far as I know, I don't know if they ever reconnected with that person again, and I didn't hear anything. But they would probably be I'm hoping that they will think about doing that again, or somebody will come in and do that again with Public Works, because they would be the ones that would need to know that. Right?
Right. It does make me cry when I see DPW using their lawnmowers to mow down the knotweed.
Well, and I wonder if the town hall piece of knotweed could be used as both training and a public event, as sort of a town
Yeah.
employee training and public partnership to really kind of get the word out, but have a sort of holistic approach to that. If that could be cool.
I
Yeah,
think
it'd be
we
great.
could use that definitely
Let me
make.
see if I can find an expert in the field of invasives around here. Well, actually, all of us, let's look for somebody. If we found somebody, that would be great to do a demonstration of cutting down the knotweed, taking care of it, and also just a seminar on how to deal with invasives in the town of Clinton. Because there's a couple other invasives that are really concerning.
Right. Okay, going forward, CAUSE had their annual meeting back in March, and the slide decks from that meeting are now available on their website for anybody who would like to look in on it.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of what you said. CAUSE?
CAUSE,
CAWS.
CAWS, it's Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists. And they have,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
and if tomorrow, I'll be back in the office tomorrow on Thursday, and we're here till 7 o'clock if you'd like to stop in and see us. Abby, we're in the land use office. Abby's there, I'm there, and we have some other staff. So if you'd like to stop in and visit us, give us a call.
Okay, and I'll be with Harbor Management, but other folks will be there. So.
Sorry.
I will definitely come, because I want to get sworn in too, so I can vote. Because it's hard for me to stifle when you're saying all in favor, say yes, or all opposed, and I can't open my mouth.
Yeah. Well, did you get anything from Mary Scatino about your appointment? We found out by looking at the minutes.
I went to the town manager meeting, and she told me to stop by the office after, and then I told the secretary there, and she emailed Abby, who sent me the material yesterday.
When-
But I didn't know about the swearing in, because when they told me to stop by the office, I stopped by the land use office, and and I told them I just got into the commission, and they said congratulations, and here's the email. I didn't know there was another step.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
No.
In my email to you, I thought I mentioned that to you, that you had to be sworn in. Anyway, that would be the town clerk's office. When you went back, perhaps you went to the town manager's office? But anyway,
I went to where Abby usually sits, that
Oh.
office.
okay. I probably wasn't here that day. I've been in and out.
No, there was a lady there with blonde hair in a ponytail,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
and that's who I spoke to.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Okay.
But if you want to stop down in the office tomorrow, I'm generally out between 2 and 3 for lunch on Thursdays, but anytime before that or after that.
Okay, I get out of work in New Haven about 4 o'clock. I can get there by 5.
Oh, well, I'm there. I'll be there till 7. So get sworn in, and then,
That'll work.
if you want to come down and chat, we're there. Okay, I'm trying to see.
I would love to. Thank you.
The Connecticut River Coastal Conservation District has their native plant sale coming up on April 28th through the 29th at the Chester Fairgrounds. I sent you their little brochure. This is, you have to order everything ahead of time. You can't just show up and buy them. And it's curbside pickup. It's contactless curbside pickup.
MJ, you were trying to talk and you
What?
were on mute.
What was that?
Oh, MJ was on mute, but you look.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Have I missed the deadline, or can I still
I'm
order?
looking to see what the deadline for ordering is.
Okay.
Well, they were due April 2nd, but if you give them a call, you might be able to still get some.
I'll try it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can give you a phone number.
Sure.
860-346-3282.
Great. Thank you.
There is, if you go to their web store, you can download a copy of the sale brochure.
I can't find my phone anywhere.
Oh,
Okay, all right, good.
Okay,
Sorry.
let's keep rolling because we're already well past our time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Membership, we've got Joan, so that's new, and then we've still got one more slot, right, Terry?
Let me look at your. Whoop, wrong thing. No, I believe you're full now.
Oh, we're full. Okay, excellent. Joan, you're the final straw.
Yep.
I feel very fortunate. I really do.
Yes.
Just give it time.
We have, our student representatives. You're allowed to have 2. Right now, Tobias is still listed, but we know he's not coming. So
Okay.
if anybody knows any high school or college person, a resident of Clinton, that might be interested, they should get in touch with me, and I can tell them the procedure.
Okay.
So in terms of library, the public, I've got to confess, I did not go to the library, check out the infrared camera and take some photos. So I let the side down on that. However, it's also good for taking pictures down your basement of your pipes. So I will do that over the next month. I'll take a couple pictures down the basement. And then we'll do our public knowledge campaign. But it's still there, unused.
All right.
Nobody's taken it out?
No. I'm sorry. That's incorrect. No, they've had some people check it out. So
That's good.
the referral Eagle River subdivision, it has gone back to a public hearing. I was not around for the public hearing. Any
It
update?
was, yeah, it was approved. It was approved without public access, but the open space will be going to the Red Wing Foundation. They were waiting for the appeal period to pass. I have not seen check prints come in or final documents relative to title and all of the open space restrictions and that kind of stuff. So we were working with the applicant to find the timing for that. But yeah, that is approved and getting ready to be recorded.
So no easement along the river though? They didn't approve that?
There's an open space conservation area, but not public access. So the land there was like an open space parcel. That parcel would be given to the Red Wing Foundation, but there is no public access.
They didn't agree to put an easement along the river to complete
No.
Who are these people? All right. Okay.
Space going.
I don't understand that, but okay.
But by the way, what was the amount of land involved?
I want to say that it was about 8 acres or so. I'll go back and check the plans. I want to say it was
8 acres or so.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a nice area. They've really saved a lot of it, but I don't quite understand not doing the little easement was only.
And by the way, the person who did the work for the project, the surveyor.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it?
Here was Grabaric.
It was Bob Grabaric.
Who is also the one that is in charge of and handles Red Wing, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
He creates the project, and then to get around the open space set aside requirement, he creates Red Wing, which is not an organization that has any ongoing budget. They don't have foresters or any board that creates a conservation plan or does basically oversees open space under their donated amounts. With regard to all the land they have, they don't have anything in terms of people going out, creating trails, making it available for use by the open public.
I think they're a private entity that is, the property's supposed to be held in a trust or something, and they don't have to.
He creates the project. And then he gives it to his own organization, and the land, and it's not really a land trust because national land trusts, they have certain rules and regulations that they have to follow, and basically they have to preserve open space and make it open and available for public use. This is not being done by Red Wing.
Well, quite the opposite. On the one hand, it's great because it is open space that will not be developed.
But not really. I mean, it's open space, but nobody can.
But it's private, it's still private property though.
Right.
Does that mean, is there some sort of an agreement that it's permanent open space?
The approval was granted where there would be a conservation restriction in perpetuity for that property that would be filed in the land records at the time that the subdivision is filed.
And who oversees the conservation restriction? There is no board. There is no body that oversees or stewards the land. And I really think somebody needs to talk to the Planning and Zoning Commission, because we have this regulation which requires when you do a development to have a 10% set aside. And that set aside, if it's going to be donated to if it's going to be donated or create a conservation easement, somebody's got to oversee that. But they have no funding. They have no one to steward. It's Grabaric, who is in charge of creating the project. And then for the people that pay him to do this, he then just donates it to his own organization, which does not oversee any easement,
Right.
conservation easement. They do nothing. So it's like allowing the people who have developed the land to keep the land, and it's really not preserved for open space. There's no organization that oversees it. There's no stewards that oversee it.
Yeah, I mean, even though he left a very large portion of it open space, it doesn't meet adding to the open space that they are supposed to leave for the town. Where is our 10% or whatever it is that is supposed to be part of the town open space?
In the past, I can tell you this, as being a member of the Clinton Land Trust for over 15 years, what would happen was P&Z would, before they approved a development, they would ask for our input on, okay, the 10% set aside. What would you recommend that to be on the project? In other words, what percent would be upland, what percent would be wetland? And we'd always look for a way to have what is parceled out as open space, something that would be connected with other open, contiguous open
Right.
space to allow animal corridors and other things.
It basically goes against the plan of conservation development, not as far as like preserving open space, but because I question the stability, the future status of that in it, being in the hands of Red Wing, but it takes out that easement that we had in the town plan of conservation and development to have along the Hammonasset River. And all I was asking for was to set aside an easement of what, 20 feet or whatever, 50 feet along the river. That could have been the town's portion of the open space. And then they could have done whatever open space they wanted with the rest of it, but they decided to block the whole thing off. And I don't know what the status of that property is. Is Red Wing, is this
Well, when you say they decided, the private developer decided to submit that
is
plan.
it a trust? What is it,
Abby, were you there when PNC approved that?
I
Did they-
was.
Did they have anyone weigh in on the environmental concerns of what parts should be given as open space?
Not insofar as the majority of the tidal wetland area and the buffer to the tidal wetland were being conserved in this open space parcel. There wasn't a lot of conversation about extending beyond that. There's some floodplain in some of the tidal buffer area that extends into the buildable land. I had written a staff report that addressed some of those things, that the actual development on the parcel would still have to happen outside of these areas, so that there may be additional pieces on the property that are not suitable for development for that lot 2 of that business district. But yeah, we did require them to go back and flag the tidal wetlands to make sure that we had an accurate delineation of what was what was out there. But there wasn't the conversation that the commission had with Mr. Grabarek was more focused on the kind of, some of what you're saying, not from the same angle, but the ability to manage public access, the ability to protect the property. The argument was made to the commission, I believe, more along the lines of passive sort of environmental conservation for species protection and trying not to, in fact, discourage folks from sort of heading toward the riverbank in that location. And that's the angle that conversation went.
Which in essence
And
is,
I completely agree with that. However, did they say what the specific sensitivity was, that they didn't want people to just walk through that one little strip? There was not an in-depth and comprehensive discussion on it. I think there's probably an opportunity through the subdivision regulations and perhaps through correspondence from you guys to the Planning and Zoning Commission to talk about how these things go in the future. There's certainly, I think, an opening there, and that might be something that's a useful joint conversation, especially if you do undertake sort of the open space planning efforts. Tying that together with the P&Z's work, I think, is important, and I do think the subdivision regulations need to be looked at.
Okay, Abby, if I could, let me just state this. I mean, we all know developers, when they put together a plan of development for the property they have, they want to maximize their profit and use of the property, which means they're going to want as much of the property which is developable kept as property they can develop, as opposed to giving it as part of the 10% set aside. Grabrick prepares the space for the people who pay him to be the surveyor of the property. And he separates it in the way that maximizes their purposes. And so the open space that's left is not necessarily the best from an environmental point of view. And the question is, with no one but Grabrick there and his clients, there's no one there to submit a counter plan for what would be the best 10% open space set aside for environmental concerns and for the town's interests. Maybe in the future, if there's going to be a development, before the P&Z considers who they're going to give easements to, conservation easements, they should have both conservation land trusts come and weigh in. So
Yes.
they could have two competing land trusts weigh in on what they would recommend the breakdown be and what they could do as far as managing the easement. Again, Grabrick, who is over Red Wing, there's no organization there. It's just an organization created to accept open space, but with no stewardship of it at all. You're supposed to have certain regular meetings where you have people, the board of trustees get together for the land trusts, and then they talk about stewardship plans and enforcement, creation of pathways for to open space up to public use. There's a lot of things that are done on these monthly meetings. Again, Red Wing has no monthly meetings. Red Wing does nothing with the properties that are given to them. So in essence, it's properties that are left with the owners of that developed property solely for their use, and the public gets no use out of it. So the town really isn't getting the maximum use of the 10% set aside by simply giving it to the developers, surveyors created land trust. Which is a land trust in name only.
I definitely understand protecting open space from people. I definitely understand that, but still the 10% requirement should have been in there, because it still is a requirement of the town that whatever, the 10% in a standard subdivision is supposed to be set aside for town open space.
Well, I
Town
believe,
space.
so I think there's the planning documents, and there's what's written into the subdivision regulations and who can have and manage that space and whether public access is required or not. And so I think that we need to go back into the subdivision regulations, because there are elements in there that I think need further examination to strictly
Yes.
follow the letter of those that
Hey,
And I
Thank you, Larry, for bringing
that-
this to our attention. Would the Land Trust, Clinton Land Trust, be interested in receiving these?
a notice that if a notice of weighing in on whether what they would recommend should be the breakdown of the 10% set aside. In other words, where it should be on the property and for what
Right.
environmental reasons. And also
Exactly.
for them to have an opportunity to be given the property as opposed to
Exactly.
simply Red Wing.
Exactly.
Red Wing
But I
doesn't
think it has to be clear in the applications are coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the applicant proposes an organization that meets the requirements listed in the subdivision regulations to receive that land.
But if
So
he's also the surveyor, I don't know.
So that's the point. The land trust has to meet the requirements in the subdivision, in the regulations. And do the regulations provide that the land trust that gets the easement or has to steward the easement or the property be a proper land trust that meets on a monthly basis?
It
and
does
that
not.
has
It doesn't.
monies to stewardship the property properly and all of these things. Red Wing has none of that. So why are they even on the list to get the easements? Because they don't manage the easements. They
So
have
the
no
standard,
ongoing
yeah.
board to do that.
I think
what-
the standard in the
want-
subdivision regulation should be reviewed if that's the goal. And I think that's a conversation that this group should have with the Planning and Zoning Commission about what that looks like going forward.
You
Yeah, I
know what? I
agree.
agree with you 100%, and then maybe that's the way to go on this. Maybe what we should do, Nick, is put this on our agenda. That
Yeah.
maybe what we could do on one of the next few agendas where we have openings is to go over these regulations, Abby, to see if we can modify them in a way that ensures that proper land trusts that are properly qualified to steward easements and conservation easements and properties, that those are the ones that should be considered for the 10% set aside. Not
Yeah,
anyone who
and
just
let's
calls
remember,
themselves a land trust.
10%. It's minimum 10%. There could have been more.
Minimum 10%. Yep.
So, why don't we?
And
do
that's all
this?
that I
Why
was
don't-
asking was for an easement to get through there so we can complete the Blue Way. But apparently that didn't fit into their plan. But I would just like if planning and zoning would consult more with
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't
conservation
we
and
have
land trusts and such before they take everybody's word for it who comes before them and just goes in. I want people
I
to be
think
more
we have to be
inclusive.
careful though in terms of the land trust is not a municipal organization. It's not an arm of the town. It's
Right,
so
but
so we
we
have to be
are.
careful in how the preference is set relative to regulation
Yeah.
and statute versus advocacy. And so I'm just throwing that out there. I'm sorry.
And by the
Right,
way, Abby, there's
But
national
we are.
standards
But
for land
conservation
trusts.
Yep.
And-
Oh no. Yep. Yeah.
is never communicated with.
We need to ensure that the land trusts that we give these 10% set-asides to are proper land trusts, not in name only, but
Right.
in spirit and in deed, and with personnel who can properly steward the lands that are given to them.
And I want to see the plan of conservation and development followed. If we need an easement through there, why would there not be an easement through there? I don't understand any of that. So I don't know. It's just a disconnect everywhere. But yes,
I think Abby gave us the answer. We have to go through those requirements and see.
Can I
if-
pipe in with something that might be obvious that I'm missing? If this was previously titled, the easement has to be part of the title, as I understand what an easement is. Because my dad had an easement where the horses were crossing through from a mountain across his property in a small area. They made a little carriage place, and that had to be written into a title. Was
Mhm.
this property you're talking about previously owned by somebody?
it
No,
was the
what it
loop.
is they applied to the planning and zoning to develop the property. And when anyone develops property of a certain acreage or more, they have to give a 10% set aside to the town. 10% of that property goes to the town. And it's usually given, to meet that 10% set aside, the owner of the property who wants to develop it will give it to a land trust. And that meets the set aside requirement. And what I'm saying is we got to make sure that 10% set aside is given to a proper land trust that will
Okay, I
steward the
understand.
land.
What you're saying is that because under certain circumstances, when you buy a piece of property, if it already has an easement deeded through it, then that it stays. But that's what we were trying to do with this parcel, was getting easement through there, and it was not done.
Yeah, because that's when it has to be done on the title.
It
In all
sounds to
fairness,
me-
Red Wing may have presented a proper plan, but I'm not aware of them having any organization or funding behind them
Right.
to perform yearly proper stewardship of the properties that are given in the 10% set-asides to Red Wing.
Right.
And I think we
So I
as
think
the
we
town have to ensure that.
Why don't we do the following? Why don't, Larry, I'm going to send something to planning and zoning. I'm going to include you on the email where we can go sort of have a conversation about where that 10% land is donated.
Yeah, so when you're going into the subdivision regulations, look at section 5.8.6. there are three methods of conservation. So there's methods of open space reservation that are listed in that section. Things can be deeded to the town of Clinton, deeded to a nonprofit organization acceptable to the commission, whose primary purpose is the preservation of open land. It doesn't specify land trusts, or held in corporate ownership by the owners of lots within the subdivision. So it could be held in common through the folks who own. So there's all of those elements exist in the way that the regs are currently written. The last time it looks like the subdivision regulations were updated was in 2009. It's sort of on our list. There's some zoning regulation updates that the commission is working on right now, but it is on my list to start to go through the subdivision regulations in greater depth. So this is a great conversation to have so that we can, talk about this in more detail.
Yep, and Abby hit the nail on the head. The second organization that you can give to is a proper organization dedicated to the conservation of land. And what we need to do is basically flesh that out. What's the criteria for determining if it's a proper organization dedicated to the conservation of land? And that's I think what we'd want to look at and talk about as a commission.
Yep, and the requirement is that the applicant show that they've met one of these three, that their reservation of open space, it fits into one of these three buckets. The commission doesn't decide that for them. The applicant comes with it and the commission evaluates, did you meet one of these standards? And if you did, then it typically goes forward.
Okay.
Okay. Good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Larry.
I gotta tell you, when Larry talks, people should listen.
Because he knows. He
He
knows.
knows.
Hang on, Nick, I'm going to bring my wife over here and I want you to repeat that.
Well, this is being recorded. She could listen. So.
Ah, good point. You can have her download as her ringtone.
Anyway.
All right. I think we got to really cut it short because we got one last thing that's really important, and that is this walkthrough on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask that. What are you talking about? What walkthrough?
So this is that land on Killingworth Turnpike, which is 81.
Oh, good. Okay.
I wish Mark was here because I know he's been sort of communicating with the realtor, etc. It's dropped off realtor.com. But
Are we
land
having an actual sidewalk? We're going to have an actual sidewalk on Saturday? Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
And it probably should be.
Nick, you might want to let Joan know what you're talking about, the site walk.
Oh, okay. So there's a possible land acquisition, Joan. And Clinton Land Trust is interested in it. We're interested in it. We want to go walk it together, just sort of understand what's there. Larry, I know you talked to the Land Trust. Was it 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock that we agreed on?
We had set it at 9 o'clock for Saturday, April 15th.
Okay.
I have at least 4 to 6 members of the Land Trust who have indicated that they want to go. And what the way we left it is we were going to confirm everything that the Conservation Commission was going to do it as well. And then we had to have a special meeting notice sent out by the Conservation Commission in order to allow, 2 or more of our members to meet to do the walkthrough with the Land Trust people. 3 or more. So if we're going to do it, we have to have Sherry send out a special meeting notice for Saturday.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think
post
that's right.
Do we have enough time to do that?
Yes, you need 24 hours to file an agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. So if
Okay,
we
what time Saturday?
it's going to be 9 o'clock on Saturday, April 15th. And it's going to be, do you know where on
81.
81, I'm sorry, on 81, just where the power lines are. Apparently, the best place to park is right there at the entrance to the power lines. There's areas there where you can pull a car in and stop there, and that's where we were going to meet.
Okay. Yay.
Do you have a rain date, just in case?
No, no rain date.
No rain,
Um,
okay.
And a real estate agent will be there?
no, the
No.
real estate agent who had the property when we were talking said that we don't need to have him there. We can go and go through. So we have permission to walk through. Now, Nick did tell me, though, it's off listing at this stage, but it hasn't been sold. So that's it.
Yeah,
And-
that's why
and-
I wanted Mark to weigh in here because he's been following this along and, but I believe it's still out there. I think they pulled it off the market. As interest rates rise, there's, nobody wants to sell their land for construction anymore because it's really a bad time.
So I'd like to make a motion that we have a special meeting for Saturday, April 15th at 9 a.m. to meet at that area on 81, where in front of the power lines, where everyone can park, meet, and then we can do a walk through the property.
I'll
Can I
second.
ask you, where are the power lines? I'm sorry, I don't know where the power lines are.
Leave Clinton and go up towards Killingworth. It's going to be on your left.
You can
Is
see
it near
from the
the
road.
commuter parking lot?
I thought it was on the right, Larry.
Yeah,
It's on the right.
No. As you're coming
Where
from
we
Clinton,
should park
going up.
is on the left.
Oh, where you park is on the left. The property is on the right, though.
Yeah, the property's on the right, but the parking lot is on the left. Is it right on the road?
No, it's in front of the entrance to the power lines.
is it on the right or left side of the road? As you're
I
going up?
thought it would have been on the left side, but maybe it is on the right. I was of the impression it's on the left side.
Just follow
May I
81.
ask you, do you have an
Power
address?
lines. You can't miss it, I'm
You're going to
sure.
see cars parked there on the side of the road where the power lines cross over.
All right, so if I go past the Clinton outlets, keep going, how far
Keep
from
going, it's way up.
It is way up.
It's almost to the Killingworth line? Or Rose Speak?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's way up there.
Is that near
You
that
go
horse
past
farm?
Evergreen Street on your right, and the before if you go past Hemlock Hill, you've gone too far. Those are sort of
Okay,
your
so would you
bounding
say-
pieces.
Right.
Is it
It's
near
right
the
in that area.
rotunda, the rotary, that far up?
No,
No,
no.
that's too far.
No, that's
Okay.
Killingworth.
Oh, okay, so I don't know where,
Is this
oh,
near that horse farm up there?
The
Where's the
horse
horse farm?
It's almost across the
Yeah.
street from Twinbrook.
from Twinbrook.
Twinbrook. Twinbrook.
I used to have a
Oh,
horse.
is that where, okay, I think I know where that is.
Anybody have an orange cone so you can park your car and put it like out on the
I could see me driving past.
Anyway.
So we can meet there, and in fact, I think what we need to do, though, is when we send the special meeting notice out, Sherry, we need to send a copy to the land trust chairperson so that she can send it out to all the members to
Would
confirm
you
it.
send me her email address and her name?
I will.
Okay, but right now there's a motion to hold a special meeting on Saturday, April 15th, 2023 at 9 a.m. At the power lines on Route 81, also known as Killingworth Turnpike. And
Yes,
and you're gonna meet at the power lines.
yes, at
Yep.
9 a.m.
Okay.
for a walkthrough of the property.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent.
Okay.
So that motion carries.
Okay, all right, so that'll be it, and then we'll take a look at it, and then what we'll have to do is each of us can report back to our respective committees and then maybe have a joint meeting at some point.
Yeah.
Mhm. Great.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Good.
I think that takes us to the conclusion of the meeting, unless there's correspondence, Sherry.
We went through it. It was just the educational materials.
Oh.
I mean, you know,
Good.
you can, I'm no longer sending you copies of agendas and minutes of the
Right.
other commissions unless there's something on it that conservation, like for the
Okay.
West Main
That
Street.
concerns.
Yeah, if you have an interest, then I will. But other than that, I'm not sending you agendas and minutes. But you can sign up to get them by going to the town's website.
Yep.
I think that this way it'll be a lot less materials going your way, so you'll know that when you get it, it's something that you need to read for conservation.
Okay.
Okay.
And Sherry, the woman's name is Dana Skidmore.
What?
Dana Skidmore is the chairperson of the Clinton Land Trust.
Dana
She's a teacher up at the school, the Clinton schools.
Okay.
And
Skidmore,
I'll send you her
and she's the
email.
chairman of the Clinton
Yep,
Land Trust. Okay.
Land Conservation Trust, that's correct. Okay,
All right, so can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll give a motion to adjourn the meeting first.
All right, do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
MJ seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Joan, welcome to your first Conservation Commission meeting.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I get up at 4 for work, but I was so wide awake because it's all my subjects that I like.
All right, good.
Thank you very much. I hope to be able to come Saturday, barring any I'm on call at times, but I would love to come for the walkthrough to see what it entails.
Yeah, and Joan,
Awesome.
it's going to be uneven ground, so wear good shoes.
Oh,
Is
okay.
Is there a big hill or something that's involved? Or a ledge or something?
well, no, there is gonna be a hill and a rise. And so, yeah, so she'll want to wear, if you can, some boots and long pants and,
Work boots. Okay. Thanks for telling me
Socks.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
All right.